I had a wonderful evening here in Greeley with my friends Bob and Kim. You met Bob yesterday. And so we're eating breakfast now at a restaurant, a little local restaurant where they took me.
The Egg and I.
The Egg and I, yeah. So you met Bob, and this is his wife Kim.
Hi.
And after I finish here, I'll be leaving I'm actually going to Glenwood Springs today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go swimming in the hot pool.
Hot tubbing, hot pool.
My favorite
Hot
place.
springs, yeah.
So after we finish this breakfast and we say our goodbyes, which is going to be hard to do, then I'm off again. Tiny house prepper. I'm now driving east out of Greeley on US 34 towards the mountains. This would eventually take me to Estes Park and to the entrance to Rocky Mountain National Park. You can just barely see the mountains here. It's just heavy, haze and cloud and overcast. Kind of disappointed that I can't see the mountains better. I think from here you should be able to see Long's Peak, which is one of the 14,000 foot mountains. I don't remember if you can see it from here or not, but I think you can. But as I drive into the mountains, because the weather's not clear, I hope I'm going to be able to see them. Now I'm headed west out of Denver on Interstate 70, and I'm just coming into the mountains. And the rain has pretty much cleared up. At least it's high overcast, not low overcast. So I'll be able to see the mountains as I drive through them. That makes me happy. I am now approaching Loveland Pass on Interstate 70 west of Denver. I have an interesting story here about Loveland Pass and also about Glenwood Springs, where I am going for this evening. In 1985, I graduated from UNC with a degree in accounting, and then in that fall, November of '85, I took the CPA exam in Denver, which is a very difficult three-day professional exam. I'm actually quite proud of that because there are four parts to the exam, and if you don't pass all four parts, then you have to take it again. If you pass at least two of them, then you only have to take the ones that you failed. If you only pass one, then you take it all again. Well, there's only a 4% pass rate for people who pass it all four parts in the first time. And I passed all four parts the first time, so I'm very, very proud of that. Anyway, after the 3 days that I spent in Denver, this was the first weekend in November, and Elizabeth came down and picked me up in Friday afternoon after I finished the exam, and we headed for Glenwood Springs for the weekend, because I had just spent 80 hours that previous week studying for the exam, plus about 20 hours a week for several months before that, so I was totally wiped out. So we headed for Glenwood Springs up over this pass, and like I said, it was the first weekend in November, and as we were heading up this pass, we started into the first major snowstorm of the season. Now when we got up here towards the top of the pass, we discovered that Eisenhower Tunnel was closed. Now Eisenhower Tunnel, the interstate goes through the tunnel, and it saves several thousand feet of climbing for those vehicles, oversized vehicles and hazmat vehicles and things like that can't go through the tunnel. They have to drive up over the rest of Loveland Pass, and I believe it's several thousand feet taller. So as we were approaching Eisenhower Tunnel, it was closed, and we came to find out that it was because of an avalanche right on the other side of the tunnel that they had to clear. Fortunately, no cars were buried, there was nobody injured, but we sat there for 5 hours waiting for them to clear the avalanche. It was just, we were expecting to get into Glenwood Springs early evening, and we got in there actually very late. But all because of an avalanche that closed the highway for 5 hours. So now I'm approaching Eisenhower Tunnel at the top of Loveland Pass. Now all around me is Loveland ski area, and you can see some of the ski runs right there in front of me. Most of Loveland ski area is off to the left, which my dash cam did not get. But this is the Eisenhower Tunnel that, like I said, cuts off several thousand feet of climbing to go up over the top of the pass. This tunnel is actually, I don't know how long it is, but it's actually several miles long, so I'm going to speed up this film here. So coming out of the other side of Eisenhower Tunnel, you can see that we are right at timberline. There's trees here, but they stop just above me. And over here on the left, that's above timberline, and that's the area that was all full of snow and it all avalanched down. You see that avalanche chute right there and completely covered the highway. Now the highway goes down off of the pass for quite a few miles at a fairly steep rate, and it goes down into a very beautiful valley where the town of Frisco is.
Now I've just come down off of Loveland Pass. Loveland Pass is 11,990 feet. I'm now at the town of Frisco, which is a beautiful, beautiful valley, and I am now at 9,200 feet. And Frisco is the exit that you take to go to Breckenridge ski area, which I believe is up that valley right there, up that way. I've skied at Breckenridge many times. Of all of the ski areas in Colorado, Breckenridge is my favorite. It's the largest. I love this valley. Before I left home, the engine light was on the truck, so I went and had it checked out, and it was a oxygen sensor, which is really no big deal, but I had it replaced and that fixed it. It turned the light off. Everything's been fine. Well, it came on again yesterday. Usually when that light comes on, it's nothing critical. It's some sensor or something, so I didn't worry about it. But today, going over Vail Pass, all of a sudden the light started blinking. And when it did, I started losing power, and I didn't know if I was going to make over the pass. Then it stopped blinking, and then the engine took off with power again. Then it started blinking again, and I lost power. So I don't know what's going on. So I am now in Vail, Colorado. I found this one mechanic shop. He's going to run it through the diagnostic and see what the problem is. But he's just got 2 bays, and he's got about 6 or 8 cars waiting to get in. He's the only mechanic in town, and he's really busy. So this is not the way I planned this day. We'll see what happens. So while I was waiting for them to figure out what's wrong with my truck, I came over here to the West Side Cafe to eat. Good food. I just had a burger and fries, but it was a really good gourmet burger, if there is such a thing. So now I'm going to head back over to the shop to see what they're finding out about my truck. So they did a diagnostic on it, and they said that cylinder number 1 was misfiring. So the first mechanic that looked at it, his question was, when was the last time you had it in a tune-up? Well, I just bought this thing a couple months ago. I have no idea when the last tune-up was. So then he bumped it up to the owner, the main mechanic, and he asked me the same thing. When was your last tune-up? So it's got 80,000 miles on it. He said the first spark plugs are usually good for 100,000. So he's guessing that it's still got the original spark plugs, even though it's an 06. So they just decided to change it out. They're not going to do all of the spark plugs because he said these particular spark plugs have a reputation for breaking when you try to get them out, and then you have to have a special tool to remove them. And it's already late on a Friday afternoon. They're not open over the weekend, so he didn't want to to really mess with that. So they went in and replaced just the one spark plug and the coil that went along with it. I thought there was a big main coil, but he says no, now they've got a coil for each individual cylinder. So he replaced the one spark plug and the one coil, and now it seems to be running smoother. So all I can do is just trust that that's got it and be on my way. And I was here a total of about 2.5 hours, so I'm pretty pleased with that. So I'm off again.
I'm now coming into Glenwood Canyon, and this is one of my favorite sections of highway. The canyon is about 15 miles long, and it's just east of Glenwood Springs. So as I drive through Glenwood Canyon, when I come out the other end, I'll go through a tunnel and then come into the town of Glenwood Springs. Now this canyon is very narrow, and the Colorado River runs down through the middle of it. And they've also, last time I was here, they were still working on this highway, which is now complete. But the canyon is so narrow that in some places they had to stack the lanes on top of each other. The westbound is on top and the eastbound lane is actually underneath in certain sections. They also have a bicycle path all the way through the whole thing that's paved, and it's really beautiful. Last time they were here, I was here, it was about half complete, but now it is complete. And you can't really see all that from the dash cam because it's not high enough, but when my head's a little higher and I can look off to the left and I can see the Colorado River and the bike path in many places. But this is truly a stunning canyon here that I love to drive through. And there's a little place up ahead just before you get to Glenwood Springs. The town is called No Name, Colorado. And the only thing that's there basically is a campground, and so we used that as our base of operations whenever we came here. And we would camp there and then we would go into Glenwood. Now, an exception to that, of course, was the November trip that I just told you about, where we got stranded at Eisenhower Tunnel. That was a fabulous trip. After my CPA exam, I was so burnt out, and we spent the whole weekend here, and it snowed all weekend, and it was very cold all weekend. It was down below freezing the whole weekend, and even colder. And we spent the entire weekend in the hot tub, the hot pool. Now this is, Glenwood Springs pool is really amazing because it's a huge pool and it's a hot pool, natural mineral pool. And from what I understand, it's actually the hottest hot spring in the world. And then I don't know what the temperature is that it comes out of the ground, but they have to cool it down to get into the pool. And they have two pools. One is fairly large and it's the hot tub. It's 102 degrees or something like that. And then the other pool is even larger and it's like, I don't know, 97 or 96 degrees or something. So we spent the whole weekend there in the pool, below freezing. And it was so cool because it was snowing on us and your hair would start to freeze, but you were nice and warm and you ducked down below the water and the water would thaw out your hair, you know. And we spent a lot of time in that hot pool with the snow coming down on us, and it was real misty when you got down close to the water because the hot water was steaming into the cold air. And then as soon as you got up, your head got 2 feet out of the water, then you're above the steam. It was really neat. And it was amazing to me that I thought getting out of that hot tub and going into the building would be really cold, but you get out of that hot tub and there was like a envelope of warmth around you that would last for a couple minutes, so you didn't feel the cold at all when you walked into the hot tub, or into the pool. I'm sorry, into the building when you got out of the hot tub and you were wet. But we just had a thoroughly wonderful weekend. We spent a lot of time in the hot tub. We went down to walk the streets in the snow and looked at some of the shops and had breakfast in a restaurant, and just a totally wonderful experience for us. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it again because I haven't seen it in quite a while.
Well, I've been looking forward to swimming in the Glenwood Springs hot pool for a week. And when I had the problem with the truck, I was really disappointed because it looked like the time that I was going to spend in the pool, I had to spend in the mechanic instead, and I don't think I have time now to do that. But I looked at the map and I thought, well, maybe I could squeeze it in anyway. So I pulled off here and I drove past the pool, and I couldn't believe it. The thing is so commercialized now compared to what I know or what I knew, and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I still got several more hours to drive yet, but it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's so crammed full of people that there was nothing there that appealed to me, fighting all those crowds just to soak in a hot tub. So I'm just really disappointed, because all my memories of the place are absolutely wonderful, but this isn't going to do it for me. So since I'm short on time anyway, if I had the time I would probably get out and do it anyway, but since I'm short on time anyway, I'm just going to press on and hopefully get into, my goal is Grand Junction tonight, which I think is another hour and a half or 2 hours, something like that, and then I have to find a place to park for the night. I don't want to be doing that when it's late, so I'm going to press on. I realized after I left Glenwood Springs that I should have gotten some video of the hot pool so you can see what it's like. But I was just so discouraged when I went past. I never even got out of the truck. I just drove past, and I didn't see a real good view of it. I just saw bits and pieces through the buildings and stuff. And all I saw was people. people. So I just kept right on driving. I'm sorry I didn't get a shot of that for you, but it's a great big huge pool, and then a smaller pool. The huge pool is like, I don't know, 97 degrees or something, and then the smaller pool is like at 102 or 103, something like that. And it's a wonderful place, just not with all those people there. Well, this is a first for me. I'm excited. They're just sort of spread out wherever they want to park. So I guess I just find a place. This is crazy. Just go four-wheeling and pick a spot. cool place up here, kind of up on top of a hill. But I can hear the wind whistling through the back part of the truck already. So I'm going to try to find a more sheltered spot down maybe in a hollow where I don't have so much wind. Yeah, this will be a little better. There's still a little bit of breeze, but I'm down behind this bluff right here, and it's blocking most of the wind. Now this is just super cool. I've been watching full-time RV channels for a couple of years now, and they all do BLM Land. Of course, they're all out here in the West, and I've always wanted to do that. Never had an opportunity. And here I am. This is just a couple of miles north of Junction, Colorado, and I found it on freecampsites.net, and it's just this vast array of four-wheel drive trails out in here, and it's so much fun. This is why I wanted to get four-wheel drive, not so much because I live in a snow belt, but because I wanted to be able to do this. So this is the first time I've used my four-wheel drive on my truck, and I was very cautious because I'm not experienced at all. I don't want to get in trouble, but I sure am having fun. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I didn't stop at Glenwood Springs, because if I did, it would have been dark by the time I got here, and I wouldn't have been able to find a place like this. I probably would have ended up parking at Walmart, and this is much better. Yep, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna enjoy tonight. I love the solitude. I love the desolation. A lot of people would say, oh, there's nothing there, it's just desert. I love this. So I think I'm gonna crawl into the back of my truck and read a book for a while and call it a night. You all have a blessed day, and we'll pick it up next time.